So I'm very excited to start that this fall.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Well, you know, JD, I'm going to do something right here because there's so much we could talk about. And of course, due to the quick passing of this program, how fast it goes, naturally we can't get all of this in. But if I can create some curiosity and have people contact you about some of these things, here we go. These are some notes that I put here. J.D. Arland on YouTube, J.D. Arland's podcast, live from Spruce Drive, SoundCloud, Google Play, and iTunes. And then, of course, you've talked a little bit about your plans and your aspirations at Purdue University. We discussed a little bit some of your Carmel High School experiences. But here, JD's love of classic and older music, and Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Chuck Berry. Then, of course, your passion for community service, how people can contact you, and how they can have you come out and share some thoughts with their organization and how to get a hold of you. Take it away.
Sure thing. So the first thing you mentioned is my YouTube channel. I was lucky enough to produce a lot of content for Carmel High School and some of my own content. Put that up on YouTube. Pretty easy to find. It's just my name, J.D. Arland. My shining jewel, the shining gem of what I've produced is my podcast. It's called, again, Live from Spruce Drive, which is my residence. Even though we record in the studio, we still have kept the name. We just concluded season 1. It's a 30-part series where we just talk about current events, sports, news, and politics. It's with my best friend from first grade, Shiva Valabanini. It's a mouthful, I know. But we are on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play. All you'd have to do to find it is type into the Google search bar, Live from Spruce Drive, and we'd love to have you listen to one. So we're expanding that. Both of us are headed to Purdue next year, and we hope to continue with a bigger and brighter season 2, another 30-part series. You mentioned my love for classical and older music. I think I'm one of the only people that I know, aside from, of course, my parents and girlfriend, that have such a passion for older music. Frank Sinatra, we were talking about before we went on air today, and I could just listen to hours upon hours of Frank Sinatra. I have it pulled up right in front of me. Some of the greatest hits, some of the deeper cuts really inspire me, and that's usually what I listen to before I go on air. It's what I did today anyway. And Marvin, I know you're a big fan of Frank Sinatra as well.
Right, absolutely. And you know what I love so much about him, I want to bring this up, is his phraseology. The way he puts a song across. And, you know, it was said several years ago, I think, that Frank Sinatra was one of these singers who actually had perfect pitch. I don't know if you've ever heard that or not, but his range was just outstanding. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And the classical feel of it. I mean, there's almost nothing I'd rather listen to driving around at night or maybe, you know, on the way to something. Just the calming, relaxing nature of it is just inspiring. I also like Dean Martin, Chuck Berry, Johnny Mathis, some of the other ones. My grandfather, father and mother inspired that into me with some older records that I've collected over the years. I like to think of myself as a Frank Sinatra vinyl collector. Got quite a library of that to pull from. Next thing you talked about was my community service and some of the things that I've done with that as class president. Some different events, that sort of thing, supporting such charities as the American Cancer Society and Chalky's Place, which is a shelter for victims of domestic violence and abuse. But my dream is to pursue this community relations. My aspiration is to, of course, use broadcasting and use public speaking, but specifically to work in community relations or public relations for the Indianapolis Colts. The kindness that they showed to my family in our time of need was inspiring when both my parents went on their individual battles. And I was always a Colts fan, but after last fall and after all that they did for us, I'll bleed blue forever. And it's great that I can mention this on this weekend because I was lucky enough to interview for an internship just a couple of days ago with their community relations department. Still waiting to hear back, but fingers crossed. Thought I would give that a shout out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's great. Well, I think one of the most important things here, we talk a little bit, I know you mentioned, we haven't really discussed it a lot here, but government and politics and, people are just almost at each other's throats today. They haven't learned to disagree agreeably, it seems like, or if they did know how to do it, they've forgotten how to do that. And, I've always said, hey, find something that you're really both interested in. Okay, like we love Sinatra. We really enjoy it. And we haven't met face to face, but we've had 3 great conversations that I can think of, So are we going to let something like a disagreement on a political opinion destroy the budding friendship? No way. Go ahead. What do you think about what I just said?
I agree with you totally. I think that the polarizing nature of politics along partisan lines has been, to put it simply, for lack of a better term, not good. It hasn't been constructive, and it hasn't been anything productive, at least in the news media over the past couple of years. I'd say specifically over the past couple of months. It's very polarizing. It's hard for one side to see the good in the other, and it's hard, like you mentioned, to see the commonalities between us as people. We can categorize ourselves into liberal or Democrat, libertarian, or socialist, but more along the lines of we're all people, and we all want the best for the country. I think that's a big centerpiece of the politics that we talk about on my show, Live from Spruce Drive. We try to highlight the fact that there are differences between us, and obviously there are people with different opinions than myself, but highlighting some of the commonalities is even more important, I'd say, than some of the differences, because the more constructive a conversation can be, the more you can relate to another person, the more you'll listen to their ideas and try to make a change to your own.
Right. Yeah. Great thoughts. In getting in touch with you, contacting you, having you come out and talk to their group, their organization, JD, what's the best way for people to contact you?
Absolutely. So I, like many millennials, cannot put the phone down. But I also have an email as well. arlandjd@gmail.com is my email, and that's just my name backwards. So it's arlandjd@gmail.com, and I can respond in a couple of hours, as well as my phone number. And yes, I'm prepared to just say my phone number on live public radio, and that's 407-274-6765. I'd love to chat, love to hear your thoughts and opinions on any of my work as well as anything going on in the world. And like you said earlier, your producer and Nick, any opportunity that you have, I would absolutely love to pursue. And I thank you so much for having me on the show today. Listeners, I thank you so much for tuning in today and listening. It has been an honor to be on the Inside Tips. To be even selected for something like this is such an honor. So thank you for having me on today.
Bless you. Thank you so much. And, it's just about that time to bring it to a close, but maybe 30 seconds here. Nick, you, JD, go ahead.
I'll just say this, JD, hopefully we get to meet each other one day. Hopefully we get to, because in this business you tend to run into the same amount of people after so many years. Right. So I look forward to meeting you in person. I look forward to possibly working with you one day, and you have yourself a great day, my friend.
Hey, and you...
Absolutely, you too.
And you couldn't see it, but he just gave you a great big salute, JD, and I do too. And with that, I say that another edition of the Inside Pitch comes to a close, and we say thank you, JD Arland, for being our guest on today's program. We wish you success in the pursuit of your passions in broadcasting and community service. Now, next Saturday morning, our program guest will be Brock A. French, president and founder of the Wounded Veterans Foundation. And before I say any more, thank you, Nick Isbell, for arranging that contact for me. Learn more about the Wounded Veterans Foundation at woundedveteransfoundation.com. And be sure you join us right here on WHBU next Saturday at 8:30 a.m. and tell your friends wherever they are they can hear the Inside Pitch streaming live at 1240WHBU.com. Thanks to our producer, Nick Isbell, to our sponsors, the Edgewood Service Center, and Lauren Frent and Affiliates, to our advertisers, and those of you who support our mission to promote, to inspire, and to entertain, thank you. Tune in each Saturday at 8:30 a.m. to News Talk 1240 and 103.7 FM, and you can visit my website at ipitch.com. I'm Marvin Lowe, and thanks for listening to the Inside Pitch. And stay tuned for the Merry Music Maker, Music Man George Smith.
The preceding program was paid for by Marvin Lowe. The views, opinions, and commentary were solely those of host Marvin Lowe and his guests and are not endorsed by Wolf Boom Radio, this station, or personnel.
1240 in the new 103.7 FM WHBU Anderson. Streaming live at 1240WHBU.com.